Baptist teenage evangelist. But I gave that up when I was 17 years old. I came out of the closet when I was 18 years old, and I took up more honest work and became a burglar. And then I went to prison, and I thought I had a lifetime career there, but I even gave that up and got out. And what you know of in Houston as Pacifica Radio and as gay radio and as prison radio, those are all my children, and I'm very proud of them. But you know that I was a teenage Baptist evangelist, so today's sermon will come from the 5th chapter of Genesis. There's an interesting character in Genesis 5th chapter. His name's Lot. It's not Lot. Who built the ark? Noah. His name's Noah. And the interesting thing about Noah is that he got drunk. He was the favored child, but he got drunk. So apparently the Christians are pretty, and the godly people are pretty generous about getting drunk. He got drunk and his son raped him. And I want you, if you run into Ham at any conferences or conventions or anything, tell him that I want to come shake his hand and thank him, because without Ham, I would not have wonderful young activist friends like these two guys over here, who has the whole future of making movements happen in my hand. Thank you, Ham. And then later on, Ham told his sisters about that. He said, when the old man is drunk, he's easy. And so they got him drunk and they raped him. And without that, none of you would be here, not even important people like me. Now that's what superstition puts into people's minds, so that the people they pump with that crap will be prejudiced against black people as a work of God's punishment, or for some other reason. There were black people before there were white people. This kind of animal came out of Africa. Snap to it. Figure that out. There were gay people from the very beginning, you know. No, hon, I don't feel like going over there and picking up that acorn. I'm afraid of tigers. Oh, shut up, bitch. I'll go get it myself. Two guys in a tree and somewhere on the Sierra of Africa talking about getting an acorn from the ground. And there were lesbians abounding. And there were people who believed in their heart of heart, in their mind of minds, they were born in the wrong kind of body. This has been going on since before anybody knew how to use pencils and paper or clay and staples to write it down. It is eternal. But we have prejudices about that because those prejudices are pumped in our mind by people who steal our money and don't pay taxes. If I really wanted to have a good day tomorrow, I would dress up again, but dressing up 2 days in a row is hard for me to do, and go out to Second Baptist Church and give Ed Young ulcers. Yeah, well, I've been out there. I carry all my transgender friends who have to pee while they're there. Right. And they never say a word about which bathroom they use. Well, after all, I mean, these people are looking for trouble. Why should we give it to them? That's their rationale. The fact of the matter is they're wrong. The fact of the matter is they're very wrong. And if you think the loss of Hero is bad, wait till the governor of the state of Texas and the lieutenant governor of the state of Texas and the attorney general, half of those people are under indictment, and the other two have had to leave office, take a leave because of mental breakdowns. That's who's running Texas. But boy, do they have a lot of Bibles to hide behind. Boy, I mean, Texas is a very religious state, and the freedom of religion means that they can discriminate against you, and atheists and humanists have a target on their forehead. If you think they're coming after me, I can handle it, obviously. You've seen some of that. I've been handling it for a long time. Get ready. I do activist training for a small fee. And Mr. Putnam started talking about pornography. I one year went to the AVN Adult Video News Conference in Las Vegas. And between giving the award for the best all-female sex scene of the year and the best group sex scene of the year, and I never knew why those were mutually exclusive, they called me to the stage and gave me the Liberty Award, and I'm the only non-lawyer in the history of the AVN to get the Liberty Award because I was the guy that kept the Texas market open. And there is no small amount of money that anyone can make off of male sexual insecurity with pictures or topless clothes or any of that stuff. They're all hypocrites. I instruct my clients, build your store or club as close to a Baptist church as you possibly can. And be sure and have parking around back in the rear so they can hide their cars from their wives on their way back from the shopping center. Being an activist can be fun if you take a lighthearted approach. Thank you for coming and support generously Houston Humanists and their cause to be just wonderful people smiling in the crowd at Gay Pride Week.
I can't follow that, I'm afraid. All I'm going to say is thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed the film. I thank you all very much for consistently supporting this project, The Trouble with Ray. Our goal is really to share with the world the untold stories of Texas gay history, specifically the evolution of the LGBT community in Houston as seen through the eyes of Ray Hill and Anise Parker and Sissy Farenthold and Pokey Anderson and many others. The LGBT community in Houston has not only changed the way things work in Houston, but has had a far-reaching effect on a national level. And I think it's about time that these people got their due for the work they've done, and that people get a little different perception of Texas and gay life here. So I thank you all once again. Vic, I thank you very much for inviting us and including us. And thank you for being at Pride. It's amazing.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
When are we going to have the movie Houston from Anita to Anise?
From Anita to Anise?
Oh,
that's essentially what we're making.
Yes.
And also, Phyllis Fry is part of our story as well.
Well, Phyllis is got to get there.
Of course. But just to let you know, we're expecting a rough cut, our first rough cut by the end of summer.
Is it online? Is this online?
The short is not online. We've sort of taken it down while we make the feature, which will be a whole lot bigger and a whole lot more potent. And
90 minutes, 13 chapters.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think that by the end of summer, beginning of fall, we'll have a final film. Look for The Trouble with Ray. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and actually our website is launching Pride Month. So there you go.
And will this be on the website?
The short one?
Yeah.
It won't.
Yeah.
It won't be available again. So you kind of got the only.
Yeah,
view
that's
of it.
awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good work. Good work.
All right. Were there any other questions for either Ray or Jarrod before we move on to our next speaker? Oh, go ahead. Ray?
Yeah, they can ask this question collectively.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's a good idea. What we can do, after everybody's done, then we can, if anybody wants to ask questions of any of the guests, then we can do it at that time. So, all right. So yeah, our next featured guest today is Ashton P. Woods, who is a local LGBT activist who writes the blog Strength in Numbers, which deals with LGBT rights, religion, racial issues, just very, very, very comprehensive, lots of great insights that Ashton shares through his blog. So yeah, sorry, next guest, Ashton P. Woods.
Okay, so usually I'm not this bashful, but I just sat next to American history. I have a great respect for history. Being a black man from New Orleans, with a grandmother from Alabama, Birmingham, whose first cousins were on the cover of magazines and sit-ins, and now being one of the people on the forefront of the Black Lives Matter movement is almost like full circle for me. But intersectionally speaking, I became more than just a monolithic black person. Being black is not a monolith. It's a part of me. That's the first thing you see, yes. But I also happen to be gay. I also happen to be an atheist. I also happen to be HIV positive. I'm a lot of things. And people are dealing with things in conjunction with race, in conjunction with gender, in conjunction with health. And I believe in using the voice that I have because I don't give two shits or a fuck about who is upset with me when I say what I have to say. So for every person that can't say what they need to say, I'm right here. Tell me something. You know, so Ray, I really appreciate you a lot. I saw a lot of myself watching that, you know, dealing with traveling around the country and starting shit, you know. I mean, I have no filter, no apologies to be made. I was thinking about how watching the first Democratic debate and hearing the presidential candidate say Sandra Bland after I helped to organize, and being the only person from Texas, much like Ray, going around the country and just starting shit, made the presidential candidates and made the national conversation not just about the economy, not just about women's rights, not just about LGBT rights, not just about the rights in general, but about rights for all. Because Sandra Bland was a woman, she was black. And one of the bigger issues that we were dealing with in the movement for Black Lives is it was very male-centered and very straight-centering. And what the problem with that is that two lesbians and one straight woman founded Black Lives Matter just by posting a hashtag. Queer people leading the movement, not just at this juncture of the civil rights movement, but throughout. Bayard Rustin, March on Washington. You know, they were embarrassed about him. They tried to do it to us. And one of the biggest things that I took from them and from Bayard Rustin and many other leaders in the past, like Ray, is that when we went to these protests, Brandon would be right there beside me. That's my best friend. And when he could make it, I would always open up with, my name is Ashton P. Woods. I am black, I am gay, and I am an atheist. And if you have a problem with that, fuck you. And what that did was it forced us within the movement to honor the fact that not everybody's a Christian, not everybody has a faith, and there are faiths that are different and are faithless. So now when we have marches and protests, there's a moment of silence, not a prayer. I don't want to get in a circle jerk with you and talk to some imaginary guy. I don't want to hold your hand and sing kumbaya. I want to talk about the issues. If we're talking about reproductive rights, there's no reason we need to talk about God in that conversation. We're talking about the fact that a woman has the right to go and abort that child if she so needs to, and I will walk her into that abortion clinic, and I don't have to pray to do it. So, I mean, listen. One of the things that has come from all of this is I'm working on something with the American Humanists Association. And it's coming out next week, and please don't tell anybody, please don't post this. I'm not supposed to say anything about it, I'll get my ass kicked. I'm actually going to be appointed as the co-chair to the Black Humanist Alliance, which is going to be a part of the American Humanist Alliance. And my first speech will be at the Reason Rally.
All right.
So, good things do come to those who wait. And I think that as someone who is a non-believer, atheist, humanist, I think that's an important part of my activism because it's not tainted by moral turpitude, code, all that Bible babble bullshit, you know. And I think I'm going to leave with this. Ray, thank you for everything that you've done. You've been a great mentor, and you've just put a 10,000-pound monkey on my back, whether you know it or not. Even if people compare me to you, I don't compare to you. I haven't done half of what you've done, but the little that I have done.
You will do more.
But the little that I have done, including fighting the state soon, whether you know it or not, if I wanted to run for office in the state of Texas as an out atheist, I technically, by Texas state law, cannot be elected to any office. You do know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's in the Texas Constitution that you have to believe in something in order to be elected to office in the state of Texas. So be looking to hear from me about that.
All right, thank you, Ashton. And by the way, just to put Ashton's surprise announcement in context, the Reason Rally, if those who may not be familiar with it, the last one was held 4 years ago, and it was the largest gathering of atheists in history, with approximately 30,000 plus people in attendance. So I would imagine this year there will probably be at least as many this time around, and it's going to be next month in Washington D.C. on the Lincoln in front of the Lincoln Memorial. I guess it'll be the first weekend of June. Yeah,
It's actually my
June
birthday.
4th. Yeah. Nikki's birthday. So, and yeah, I'll be there. Who all is planning on being there at the Reason Rally? All right. Well, yeah. Hopefully we'll have more. It's not too late to. It's not too late to make the trip out there. All right. So yeah. So okay. So our next guest speaker. Really glad that we were able to have him out here. He was actually we invited Brandon to be one of our guests initially. But thought he would not be able to make it, and only today did I find out he could come. So that's why we didn't include his name on the announcements and the meetup event and all that. But really glad to see Brandon was able to make it. Brandon Mack, who as Ashton mentioned is Ashton's best friend and is also an local LGBT activist as well. And so yeah, please welcome Brandon Mack.
Thank you so much, Vic. Thank you to everyone who came out in support. This is a beautiful event and beautiful to see all of you here. And thank you for allowing me to be in this space. First off, I definitely want to thank Ray Hill for all the amazing things that he's done and definitely leading the path for us who are coming behind him. And hopefully we can live up to the expectation that's there and hopefully take it even further. I also definitely want to acknowledge Nikki Araguz Loyd and all the amazing things that you've done for the trans community, for the community as a whole, finally getting justice, which has been so denied, but it's so beautiful.
Yes, indeed.
What I want to impart to everyone, one of the reasons why I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it here tonight is because I'm currently dealing with cancer for the third time. And it's a trial, but it's not kicking my ass. I'm kicking its ass in my own way. And hopefully we'll be kicking it even further once I have my surgery, which will be in May. So definitely be with me in any way. Go Rockets instead of go Cubs, as we're saying. Because, yeah, a lot of people, their initial thing that they want to do is pray and things of that nature. And me being who I am, I always tell people, look, you can do what you want to do. What is for me is just be there to support, however way that is. But for me, that I'm not depending on all that other kind of stuff. What I depend on is that I know I'm going to kick this. And what I want people to come away with from all of our stories as LGBT people is that we go through a lot just for being who we are. None of us ever asked for this. We're just trying to live life. We're just trying to be ourselves, walk in our truth, and just get through the day. And we have so many people out there against us, so many people who are just like us, but because they don't want to walk in the truth of being us, they want to fight against us. And they're using every single tool out there that they can use, the government, the quote-unquote Bible, which is bullshit, and using all these other institutions. And what is important for us to do as people is to be there and fight against it. So for those of you who are not a part of the community, you can be a part of the community by being supportive.
Right.
That is listening to our stories. That is telling our stories to other people and combating the ignorance of who we are. So I have heard of the word allyship, and we were having a wonderful conversation over there about allyship, and I thank y'all for having that. The number one thing I always tell people is that allyship is not comfortable, and it's not meant to be comfortable, because it is meant for us to arrive at an understanding of who we are by asking those difficult questions and having those difficult conversations and getting vulnerable. So I definitely encourage everyone here to get in that vulnerable place. Ask the questions. It's okay to ask those questions, because that's how we arrive at collective understanding and collectively getting to where we need to get. But we have to be uncomfortable, because I know for a lot of us, we're tired of waiting, and we're not going to wait anymore. We're not going to wait for people to tell us we're conferring rights upon you. We're going and we're taking that shit. Unapologetically taking that shit. And so what I definitely invite all of you is to join us in this fight of taking our rights, because until the entire alphabet, that is us as a community, gets rights, we're not done yet. So even though we have had marriage equality, that's one step. Until I see trans women of color being able to have a job and it not be a problem, being able to have housing and not get kicked out because of who they are, and until we have the fucking right to go to the fucking bathroom without someone coming up and telling us it's a problem, we are not done. So, until all that has happened, we all got work to do. So this is our call to action. This is how we're going to do it, is by being uncomfortable, by having these conversations, by educating everyone, and getting the fucking shit out of these public offices and taking that shit and taking our rights. So guess what? We're all going to do it, and we're all going to do it together. And it starts collectively tonight. Thank you all.
All right. Well, I guess so we have one more guest on our schedule, but, well, we are fortunate, though, to have Brenda Lunger, who's also a local LGBT activist. And would you like to have some words first before we bring up...
Yeah, I'd rather go before Nikki than after.
Yeah, so Brenda's been, she's been a long-time member, and she actually did a presentation for us, I think it was about 2 years ago, about transgender gender identity, and a great presentation that she did for us then. So yeah, please welcome Brenda.
I'm going to let Nikki talk a lot about the trans issues right now. What I'm going to talk about tonight is jobs. I'm going to talk about what we can do as far as reaching out and building this part of equality that means we actually can make money and live.
Right.
As Brandon said, trans women of color have it very, very hard. So many of them have to work in the street economy, drugs, prostitution, things like that. If that's their choice, that's fine, but normally it is not. My current role in my company, and one of the reasons you guys don't see me here very often, is I'm a consultant. I travel. I'm out of town every week. But within my company, I work for one of the major consulting companies. I'm not allowed to say their name because I'm not officially representing them here, but some of you know who I work for. But I am the North American gender authenticity lead for that major consulting company. Gender authenticity means it's not just about trans. It's about anybody who is not recognized as being male or female, anybody who is in between. And if we can get equality, job equality for the full spectrum, we have it for the trans people, we have it for everybody else, the butch women, the less than traditionally masculine men, all those people. And so in that, we're working basically on 4 fronts. my company now is putting all gender restrooms in every office where we can. We actually have one all gender restroom in our New York City office that is multi-stall. In other words, anybody can use it. They had a problem when they first did it because there were men still walking in there using the disconnected urinals. But you know what? You got to break some eggs to make that omelet.
You gotta break some eggs.
We made mistakes, we moved on. We have instituted a North American, that's US and Canada, and actually they took it to our Mexican office as well, what we call dress for your day. We got rid of all gender cues in the dress code. There's not something that men have to wear, there's not something that women have to wear that either is forbidden from wearing. You be professional. You represent the company well, and that is the key. And so we've done that. We can do that. And you're just working with the people in my company and a very supportive company too. We've been able to do that. Right now, we've got a group going and working with our recruiters. Consultants really, I don't know how I got into this company. Because a consulting company, I have never worked around so many incredibly intelligent and good-looking people. As a consultant, you're the face of the company. And so a lot of times in recruiting, they are hiring these very traditionally good-looking folks. You ought to see the gay guys where I work, Ashton.
Yeah, I really should.
But, they're gorgeous. And the women, oh man, don't get me started. Some of them work for me. But one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to train our recruiters. No, you know what? Don't just go by outward appearance. If you are recruiting, don't just say, okay, this person is kick-ass. This person has the brains and everything, but you know what? I'm not sure they quite fit. They might have a tattoo. It might be a woman with short hair and a little bit of a blocky build. Why does that stop us from hiring the best of the best? It shouldn't. And despite the fact that we are an extremely, extremely progressive company on LGBT, our recruiting is behind. We're working on that. These are things that all of y'all can do at your companies. Any one of you can step up and say, you know what? What are we doing in recruiting to be more open, to be more honest, to bring in the best people? Are we denying the best people just because they don't look the way we want them to? Anybody can do this. Anybody can work on dress code, anybody can work on restrooms. And then the fourth thing we're doing is whenever, our company has a policy of not getting involved in politics, but some of us have opened our big mouths and our company signed the statements that went forward from HRC and these other groups in Georgia. We pushed hard, we got North Carolina. They weren't gonna sign it. They were just gonna be kind of like letting back. And people from our LGBT ERG stepped forward and says, I know the policy, but what's right? So we stepped forward and we signed on to the, if you look at the 120 plus companies that signed against HB2 in North Carolina, my company was one of them. I'm on a project in North Carolina right now. I know that my company has my back if I go to the bathroom and get busted for some reason. Of course, I have a privilege. I have a birth certificate that says female. And so if they bust me, I bust them right back and hard. And that's why I'm out. I can go to that bathroom. If they want to bust me, that's fine, because I win. But you know what? What you can do as an ally in the business world to provide these jobs are those four things. Activism, be willing, see if your company will sign something. Who knows? You never know. Dress code, restrooms, recruiting. If we can get those four going at a bunch of companies here in Houston, it can transform the workplace. And guess what? There are some damn smart African American trans women out there. There are some incredibly intelligent Latina trans women, Latino trans men. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Brennan. For being here and for sharing your perspective on that. So let's see. All right. Yeah. So that brings us to our final guest speaker today, and Nikki Araguz Loyd, who's actually asked us to use a video as her introduction. So let's go ahead and get that started.
It's only 2 minutes, don't worry. The next time we get to record in a... Okay, is it not?
Well, no, the projector's going on.
Make it up.
Yeah.
Yes, clearly I come from the instant gratification generation. Yes.
We got used to it.
Okay, so by the way, the next time we get to record in a multi-million-dollar studio, don't get cracked down and show up 2.5 hours late, okay? My name is Nikki Araguz.
Yeah. My name is Artist William Loyd. Here we go. Well, I'm waking up to nothing less than everything that I ever wanted. Waking up to nothing less than everything that I ever wanted. And my guns are clean, and my mind is clear, and the stars, they will shine, and I've got nothing to fear, 'cause I'm waking up to nothing less than everything that I ever wanted. Waking up to nothing less than everything that I ever wanted.
So you're honest?
Yeah.
You think you can handle it?
But by 13, I was raped in a public restroom and infected with HIV.
My weary bones to sleep. I pray the Lord my dirty soul to keep. And if I end up wide awake, I thank the Lord for everything. And Nikki's the most resilient person that I've ever met. Yeah, the good and the bad.
Don't get too close to me again, bitch.
The happy and the sad. Yeah, the flowers and the trees. Oh, the you and the me. The black hole to breathe. When I'm down on my knees and I'm waking up to nothing less than everything that I ever wanted. And my guns are clean.
All right. Wow. Very nice. Well, yeah. So, welcome, Nikki Araguz Loyd.
Wow. Well, first of all, I don't think until this very night, I grew up here in Houston, and I remember I was born in 75. My parents bought the house in 76. So I remember watching the news and watching Ray, and I mean, I have goosebumps this evening because it occurred to me that I probably got a lot of my I'm not taking your shit from Ray. And I appreciate that. Seeing people like this lead the way for me here in Houston, in Texas in the 70s and 80s, as a transgender child, who, you know, very clearly knew and presented, as I am in those early years, it was really revolutionary, and I acknowledge you, all of you. I don't really have anything else to say, quite frankly. I mean, what else can I say? Brenda stole my thunder. People always think I'm going to sit up here and talk about myself, and all I ever talk about is employ us. Hire us. We can't do it without money. You know? Invite us to the table. Because we can't buy our ticket. You know, 6 years ago, my husband was a firefighter who was killed in the line of duty. And I didn't have people inviting me to the table. In fact, HRC just a few months later asked me to pay for my own ticket to their party. And that's pretty much how it was and has been for the transgender community. Disregarded, uninvited, and ignored. I'm thankful that that's not the case today. I'm thankful that, you know, the transgender people are where the gay people were in the 80s now. And this reminded me that all these laws and all these protests are exactly what leads to legislative and judicial protections. And that's what we need. We need federal protections to include transgender people. We don't have money. We can't buy tickets to your fundraisers. We can't, you know, I can. I just got it.
Yay! After a long
actually, I'll tell you this. I woke up on Friday morning. I don't know what day it is. I woke up yesterday morning to a phone call from Austin. You see, it's a funny thing. If they had just paid me. Well, the state has a benefit for my firefighter husband, any firefighter who's enrolled in this program. If they die in the line of duty, at the time that my husband died, would have received $250,000. Well, apparently in September, the state changed that limit to $500,000, and they applied it to me.
All right.
So I got double. And it took 6 years, and it was never about the money. I mean, you know, part of the money, the beautiful part of having the money is that now I can help change other people's lives. You know, Brenda touched on this. I stand before you, one of the most, you know, and I don't mean with money when I say affluent, one of the most affluent trans people I know. And it's because I have the privilege of passing. And until my husband died, and I didn't, and it occurred to me that being a pretty white woman wasn't going to work for me, because I was a trans woman. They're like, oh, wait, you're trans. Never mind. Doesn't count for you. It takes people like us who step forward and say, I'm here, because I don't have to be, but you know, but I'm here. And sometimes that's just enough. You know, thank you.
All
All right, thank you very much, Nikki. That was really powerful stuff. So yeah, thanks for coming in, sharing with us. So, and congratulations on the great news. So,
Cha-ching!
so yeah, I guess if anybody would have any questions for Ashton, go ahead.
Nikki,
Yes.
my other best. How come you didn't tell us about the Transnational Alliance?
Oh, well.
Because you do work with the money you have.
Yes, I absolutely. I have an organization called the Transgender National Alliance. You can find us on Facebook or transgendernationalalliance.com. Hashtag TNA. See, I know when to wait for my applause. Or the rolling laughter. So my organization is TNA, and what we do is help
Now, Nikki, do you want to speak up? And actually, yeah, go ahead.
Sure, probably all of us could I'll just stand over here, so that'll be easier. The Transgender National Alliance, actually, I created it because I know for me, the biggest single thing that changed my life was changing my name. Being able to walk into a bar or get on a plane or be served alcohol or buy cigarettes. Every time a transgender person has to show their identification, they are at risk of being murdered or certainly being discriminated against. Every time I would walk into a bar, and I remember the bar I grew up in was Studio 13. It was the black gay bar, and because I wasn't 21, so they let me in. And it was my community, and I loved that bar, but they didn't judge me. It would be the one place that I would go in and I wouldn't have to worry that within 5 minutes, everyone around knew that I was trans. And so my organization helps empower those people. It could cost $300. Some attorneys have charged up to $3,000. And so that is extremely cost prohibitive. $3,000 might as well be $3 million. And so, to have something that gives you an opportunity to make money, have a job, be safe, it's really important. It costs $300 just to do it through the courts. So the judges don't make it easy. It's an underground railroad sort of system, and we have a lot of backlash. So thank you.
I have a question for Nikki. Nikki, well, actually, it's a response. Nikki said, you can't do much without any money. Everything I have done has been without any money. You can replace money with chutzpah. You just got to get out there, get in their face, and make it happen. The total organizing budget for the Anita Bryant rally, the largest event up until that time that Houston had ever seen for all of us, GLBT people, was $320. We brought people from out of town. He's got them all on film. And $320. So you can do a lot if you have the spirit, if you have the heart, and it's time to do it.
Great advice. Thank you, Ray.
All right, actually, why don't we just have all the panelists come up front, and then whoever has questions for them, we can have them all answer together. So. All right, so.
This is a scary looking crowd.
30 more minutes.
Oh yeah, and we don't have a whole lot of time, unfortunately, because we got to clear out of here in about 30 minutes. So, but we have time for a few, and then we do also have the raffles we need to announce. Okay, who would like to? Anybody else? Hopefully, somebody's gonna have questions since.
Well, we could just thank us for all being here.
The suggestion from Anita to Anise was strange time. It wasn't necessarily that things got better when Anise was mayor, because she was mayor for the city of Houston, and I gave her a set of apron strings when she got elected, saying, "You don't belong to us anymore, you belong to everybody, hon." But I did keep a key to her back door. So I didn't have to go into the office in a coat and tie to talk to the mayor. I could see her and Kathy running around the kitchen in panties and bra, and did often. But she served admirably.
Yes, he did.
And that did the rest of us a lot of good, because the reputation of each of us builds the image of the rest of us. We're still all in this together. We're still a little different. The future seems to be a lot brighter than it was.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a general question about Hero and where is the city and what are they doing?
Well, actually, I talked to the mayor about that, as you might suspect. I am in no hurry to run through that again.
Right.
But let me tell you, they just got through with the Rice City of Houston survey. It's done annually, and I've got friends over there that work for the Kinder Institute that makes that happen. And they ask Houstonians questions about GLBT equality. And that equality is supported by 71% of Houstonians in the survey. Well, then what the hell happened in the election? We were distracted in the election by the propaganda and the imagery of men lurking in women's bathrooms. Right. So that means that the city does not know us very well. There is an adage from Harvey Milk that's very important here. Harvey Milk said, hell no, it's not organize, organize, organize. It's come out, come out, come out.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's come out, come out, come out. And so we have to teach our people that yes, it's fearful, and yes, it's scary, and yes, you're intimidated by people who don't want to see you. You've got to come out. That's why every once in a while, about every 3 weeks, I go out to Second Baptist Church with transgender friends. And while we're there, everybody pees. And they don't say anything about the restrooms that we use. Nothing. Why? Because of our presence, we have made them afraid of us. And that experience makes us less afraid of them.
Just a follow-up. I heard recently that there's a sporting, like they're not going to have the Final Four in a city without a...
They already had the Final Four this year.
We had one last week.
Do you think that makes a difference that
Absolutely.
Anything that gets it out in front of people.
What about the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl is still coming. I think I could, if I may. I was on a radio show with Jarvis Johnson on KCOH, which is a black-owned radio station locally here. And he was very taken aback, and so were the listeners, when I said I don't think that I would support a boycott in Houston in particular because of HERO. The reason why is because most people don't know what the acronym HERO even stands for, to begin with. And secondly, Nikki brought up HRC. And we have to learn, hold on, Human Rights Campaign. We have to learn how to stop bringing people from out of town to tell us how to run our own damn city, first and foremost. And actually, a lot of the opposition were from outside of the city limits. The narrative came from people who don't even live in the city of Houston, who don't even operate in the day-to-day business like we do. And that's something to be taken note of. But the bigger thing is I said that because Houston is the most diverse city in the United States right now. We're on our way to being the third largest city in the country. We just had a lesbian, a mayor who happened to be lesbian, and now we have the second ever black mayor. And that's something to be taken into account. We have all of these historic aspects, but we don't have the education about who we are. So if we're not educating ourselves about ourselves within our respective communities and at large, an ordinance like HERO is doomed to fail every time we push it out. Houston Equal Rights Ordinance, because the opposition was allowed, for example, to create the narrative the day after the ordinance passed City Council. We, on the organizational level in the LGBTQ community, didn't start organizing behind HERO until 2.5 months before the election. They had from, what was it, May 28th, 2014 to 2015. They had a year and some months, literally. So there's your answer as to how the narrative got to be so rampant. And then, like everything else in Texas, we were the test pilot for how anti-trans and anti-LGBT language could be pushed throughout the country. Now, HERO failed in November of last year. How many states and cities have pushed through ordinances and state laws or have tried to attempt with the same commercial and have been successful because of what happened here?
If I may add too, you saw the same thing with Anita Bryant in the 70s, starting in Florida and ending with Prop 6, No on 6 in California. It was a momentum that continued to build, and this is eerily similar in the way it's building and continuing. So, with that as a guide, there's got to be a stopping place. We don't know what that is for this one, but
let's go out
the only one thing that I would just add to it is that the future of the LGBT movement is that we can no longer drop any of our letters.
Yes.
Because the biggest problem that we saw with HERO is that we threw the trans community under the bus. We completely did not have them out front, saying their own stories, saying this is who we are as people. We did that as an LGBT community. So the way the movement needs to move forward from now on is that it has to be fully inclusive, and it has to be the trans community leading the charge and saying with their own voices, this is who we are.
Right, but we cannot do it again without the backing of organizations and their funding. Right. I mean, you know, we can do a lot with the chutzpah.
Yes.
We can, but we are very limited with what we as a transgender community can do because of how stifled our voices become.
When you think about the 12,000 that Ray ended up with in the Anita Bryant protest, what did Ray do? Who did he put out in front?
The most feminine and
the most queer people out there. The people who are noticeably different. Well, you know, some of us in the trans community aren't as noticeably different, Nikki. So jealous of you. No. But you know what? We were not allowed to lead our own protection. We were actually kind of pushed aside. We were told, you know what? You can come here and phone bank and walk blocks for us.
Right.
And my response to that was, I did it once. I got a list from the HRC. The HRC has not been kind to trans people. And I said, fuck this. Now, some of you I gave you the opportunity, and some of you were awesome going to do phone banking and block walking. That's not my thing. And so we need a multi-pronged, multiple avenue approach. We didn't have it because we had people come in here and say, oh, we got this. We know how to do it. You just do what we tell you.
We need to push for federal protections. We need to push for federal protections. Call your federal representatives, your senators, your legislators, you know, and ask them to protect transgender people federally.
And not just trans, gender nonconforming.
Yes.
We need to...
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm very binary in my thinking. No judgment.
Shit happens.
I mean, just read my Huffington Post blogs, that's all. I'm American Nikki on all social media.
Yeah. Well, you know, Nikki actually has been shot at because people tell her she's too binary. I think that's bullshit. Nikki's got to be herself. I've got to be myself. Ashton P. Woods is himself. We're all, you know, Ray Hill's got to be Ray Hill. Brandon Mack has got to be Brandon Mack. All y'all got to be all y'all. How did that Southern thing come out for a Philly girl?
All y'all got to be all y'all.
You guys.
So we
Or
probably
use guys. It could be that too.
should we like draw things because I want to win something.
Let's do the drawings, please. Any more questions, real quick?
Yeah.
Any last questions,
Ray
real
and I
quick?
are ready to win.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.